Looking at this one, let me factor the greatest common factor to begin with. I'm going to factor a 6z out. So inside my parentheses, I will have z squared minus 1, and all of this is equal to 0. I just factor a greatest common factor as a binomial. Now, inside of the parentheses, z squared minus 1, I can see that as z squared minus 1 squared. So I am looking at the difference of the squares. So that parentheses, I'm going to be able to split. So I have a 6z, which is right what I have on the outside. My parentheses, I'm going to split it as z plus 1, z minus 1. All of this is equal to 0. So each of my factors, since I'm solving for x, each of my factors, I'm going to let them equal to 0. So I have 6z is equal to 0. I have that z plus 1 is equal to 0. And I have that z minus 1 is equal to 0. On my first equation, divide both sides by 6. And we're going to get z is equal to 0. It's one of my solutions. On the second one, let me subtract 1 to each side. And I'm going to get that z is equal to negative 1. On my last equation, let me add 1 to both sides. And I'm going to have that z is equal to positive 1. Those are my three possible solutions. So matter of fact, the maximum amount of solutions I can know from the beginning, it is equal to the biggest exponent in the polynomial. Keep in mind I'm saying biggest, because what if I have a perfect square? My biggest exponent will be 2, but I will only have one solution. Now looking at this thing, I can split the second parentheses. I'm looking at the second parentheses as two numbers that multiplied equals 10, but when I add them is equal to negative 11. I'm all like, well, what if I go negative 10 times the negative 1? So I have my factors. For example, A, have m plus 3. I'm not doing anything to the first parentheses. My second parentheses, I'm going to split it as m minus 10 and m minus 1. To solve for this equation, I'm going to let each of my factors, in this case, all three of them, equal to 0. So I have m plus 3 equals 0. I have m minus 10 equals 0. And I have m minus 1 equals 0. So if m plus 3 equals to 0, let me subtract 3. And I'm going to get that m will be equal to negative 3. For the second equation, let me add 10 to each side. And I'm going to get that m is equal to 10. And for my last equation, let me add 1. So I'm going to get that m is equal to 1. Same thing for example B. I'm not going to split my first parentheses, but my second parentheses, it looks like the difference of the squares. It looks like 2x all squared minus 3 squared. So my factors in this case are going to be 2x plus 5, which is the first parentheses. I'm not doing anything. Then I'm going to have 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 3. Let each of your parentheses equal to 0. I'm going to say 2x plus 5 equals 0. I'm also going to say that 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. And 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. Subtract 5. 2x is equal to negative 5. So x must be equal to negative 5 over 2. Let me subtract 3. So I get that 2x equals negative 3. X must be equal to negative 3 over 2. Last one, let me add 3. X equals 3. So x must be equal to 3 over 2.